Hello, and thank you all for tuning in to the Pure Michigan Properties podcast. We are now on episode 21, and so we are here to say thank you for your support, for starters.
Yes.
And so I'm Shalonda Wather, and I am here with.
Hey, my name is Dylan Mostyn.
And so Dylan and I today thought that it would be a great idea to cover the topic of tiny homes. That's right. I said tiny homes.
Not big homes.
Not big homes.
Not medium-sized homes, but tiny
homes. And so tiny homes, it's just a downsized property, right? It makes it living a little bit more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, I've been running across a few tiny homes.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, and so in Detroit, there's a tiny home community.
We're at in Detroit.
So it is off of Woodrow Wilson and Richton. Richton is the name of the street.
Okay.
And so it's called the tiny home community, and they're becoming more popular across the nation.
I feel like even watching like the HGTV kind of stuff with like tiny homes, I mean, I see them, and do you ever get thought like, how could people live like that, right?
No, I'm trying to live like that.
Talk to me more about that then.
So my ideal living space is actually that of a tiny home, just because it cuts down on the stuff that we really don't need, right? I feel like as individuals, we typically go overboard.
Correct.
Right? And I would much rather use my resources and my means to fund other parts of my lifestyle.
Right.
Right? Having a roof over my head and shelter, it's a necessity, but
100%.
really that's all. I mean, I'm very simple, and so
yeah,
I love the idea of tiny homes. I always wanted a tree house too when I was
yes. Oh, that could be another episode. Tree houses.
And so and it just puts me in the mind of a tree house.
Yes. On average, and I don't know if you would know this off the top of your head, how big are tiny homes, right? Let's talk square footage.
Okay.
So like obviously you're not getting into like a 1900 square foot
right
house. Like on average, is there even an average of how big a tiny home is around?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I actually have the statistics pulled up where on average tiny homes they do vary in sizes, but on average 225 square feet, whereas a typical home the average is 1900 square feet.
Right.
So that's a
huge difference.
Huge difference.
I mean, you're cutting you're cutting your house into like quarters, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And at that point, it's like, what are you gonna do in like that small? But I like to compare tiny homes to kind of like RVs, right?
Okay.
An RV, I mean, it's not a permanent home. Right. It's kind of just like camping, going outdoors, but it's still livable, right?
Absolutely.
You still have a bed in there, still have a fridge, you have your kitchen, you can shower in there, you have a bathroom, you have all that stuff, right? I mean, if you get one of the fancy RVs, right?
Right, and I've been in some really nice RVs. I used to work for the Wade Show Carnival.
Oh, really?
I did. I used to be the one in the elephant ear stand.
Yes.
So, and a popper. And the owners, Lynn and Jeff, they had a really nice RV. I'm saying like living room was fantastic. It extended out on the side where it pushed like their TV and their mantelpiece.
Yes.
Oh,
that's the fancy
really
ones.
Nice. It just put me in a mind, and then too, I am to the point where the bigger the house is, the more the home needs to be clean.
100%.
Right? You have to dust and mop and.
Right, you're putting more maintenance into it.
Exactly. I don't want to do that any longer.
Fair enough, right? I mean, especially with like people who are getting older, they don't want to deal with a lot of maintenance, right? That's why we call it downsizing your house, right? Once you get into a family, it starts to get bigger, but then once you hit that period in life, you start to be like, we don't need as much room. We don't need to do the stairs. We don't need to be cleaning. We don't have to have a big yard. Like, you just want the simple things in life.
That's right. And so I'm gonna say this because I recently found and saw in these tiny home communities that the style of the home, they vary from A-frames. They have cabin style tiny homes. They had even colonial style tiny homes. So you have those 2 stories, a living space, things like that. And then they have more traditional, just smaller Tudor style homes and things like that. Maybe even a bungalow, but
I bet you could find a bungalow somewhere.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So ideally, who do you think that a tiny home would be great for?
I think a tiny home would be great for our elder community. Those who need to downsize. Singles.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else.
What did you think I was
I thought you were saying we're looking to die.
No.
That's
to
I'm sorry.
No, Dylan, no.
Sorry, okay. Back on track.
Even empty nesters.
Yes.
You know, I think that's a large what was it? A large community who will be moving into tiny homes.
Right. I'm even thinking people just who want to travel. Or, I mean, you know, like they don't want to feel like their house is like their main point in their life, right? They can go out, they can go see the world, but then they have a home where it's like they have like just everything that they need in one little tiny area, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's less maintenance, it's more sustainable, it makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
It's honestly more affordable, right? So there's different aspects to it, and I think that's why I wanted to add on someone who just likes to travel more because it makes more sense financially for them.
Yeah, and to add to that point, people who are in professions where their job does require them to be away from home longer.
Correct.
For longer periods of time. Yeah, I think that would be a perfect space.
That could be amazing, especially, or even, you know who I was just thinking, maybe a first-time home buyer.
Oh, yeah, someone young, you know, starting out in life.
Either like a young couple or just someone who's single, like, just get a tiny space for them. It can make more sense for them, right?
Absolutely.
They're out there. It just, are we looking in that area? Are we looking at that price point? Let's just check it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, great point, you know, first-time home buyers, individuals looking to downsize, you know, people who jobs require them to be away from work,
right?
Or, you know, those who love traveling, and I'll even say for investors.
That could be a great one for an investor, and I feel like even for like more of a newer investor too, because I feel like it gives a little bit more security to their investment on their end, because at least like they're not dealing with as much maintenance on the property.
Yeah.
And newer homes, or not newer homes, tiny homes, tend to be a little bit more newer on the aspect of that because they're coming to become more popular nowadays. People don't need this big grand house anymore. That they've realized, one, you're probably paying a lot. Well, you are paying a lot more for this big grand home that requires a lot more maintenance. That either you're going to be doing or you're going to hire out someone to do for you, and then that costs money or time.
Right.
Which, I mean, those are the two aspects of life that are very important.
Right.
Time and money.
Time and money.
And often those two go together, right?
Yeah, that's why the economic term time value of money even exists.
Yes.
Yes, for that reason.
Bingo. So I feel like there's so many smart strategies of how to market a tiny home to someone who is looking for one, right?
Yes. And so I feel like just with the marketing period, putting in front of those who would be interested. I actually shared my video on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page.
Yes.
And I did get 2 people to call in asking how to get started with buying a tiny home. Now I'm gonna hold these 2 people to it because I followed back up and we set appointments. We have not yet carried out those appointments.
Okay, so the appointments are still coming though.
So we'll see. We did set appointments. Those appointments did not get rescheduled, but they were also not carried out.
Okay.
So I'm reaching back out to you guys because you told me you wanted a tiny home, and I'll help you get into one. So
you know who you are.
You know who you are.
Trust.
And so if it's something that anyone is interested in, definitely am looking forward to help.
100%.
Started.
I mean, I think it's a different aspect of real estate. When you say real estate, people don't think of that as like the automatic thing they think of. Multifamily, single family, condos, all those different aspects. But then you talk about like tiny homes, which is a subset of real estate. But I think it's now becoming more a part of the conversation of what it looks like. And I mean, especially with like TV, like now bringing it back into the picture of things, glorifying it, making it look awesome, which it is. It gives a lot of options for people, and people might not have considered it before the conversation even was pulled out.
Well, it's our job. It's our job to let the folks know, so now they know.
Give some education, right?
That's right. That's what we're here for. That's what we wake up to do, you guys.
What we do each and every single day.
We want to make sure that you are aware of what your options can be in our market.
Exactly. I mean, think a little outside the bubble, right? I mean, last episode was about ghost towns, right? Investing in a ghost town. And now we're talking about investing in some tiny homes.
And let's even take it a step further, because located within this tiny home community, there's also, they should be finishing construction on a car wash. It's called the 1 Cup Car Wash.
The 1 Cup Car Wash.
Yes.
Tell me more.
That's it. That's all I have for now. It's currently under construction.
Gotcha.
And hopefully it'll be finished within the next 2 weeks, and I'll be able to, take a look into it, and the builders couldn't give me much information.
Okay, fair enough.
And so we'll see how that turns out.
Have you realized, or have you thought about the power of how to run a tiny home?
So from what I've seen so far, those tiny homes that the neighborhood that I'm mentioning, the community, they're ran off of solar panels.
Okay, that makes sense, right?
Makes it a lot more efficient and things like that.
It's a greener house. Sustainability is there, which is very hot right now in 2024. And you're just being a good citizen to the people around, right? You're not putting out fuels that are toxic, and it's like I said, it's sustainable, right?
It's sustainable, absolutely, and everything, even from the appliances. You have the tiny appliances. They're just cute. If you're someone who are into miniatures, then I feel like the tiny home's perfect for you.
Even like miniatures, I was thinking about the word like minimal, right? Obviously you're not bringing everything and anything with you at that point when you're transitioning from a regular single family or like even a condo or something into your tiny home, because it's not going to fit.
Right.
You're not bringing your king size bed in there unless you get an extra large tiny home. But it's really figuring out what's the value in your life and what you want to bring and what you don't want to bring, because you're going to be throwing out a lot of stuff, to be honest. But it really puts the importance on what's important to you in life. And I think that's one of the values that moving into a tiny home brings out in people, is you figure out what they're really where they're at in life and what they find value in.
Absolutely. And let's do this. How would you design your tiny space if you were?
So I would do it right when you walk in. You have like the little living room area. You have like a little seating area, maybe a little miniature TV or something. Actually, I probably wouldn't even bring a TV.
Okay. To
be honest, I don't watch a lot of TV. I would just use my laptop.
Okay.
So bam, get rid of the TV. I don't need that anymore.
I like it. I like that idea because I don't own a TV. I don't. I mean, I have 2 televisions, 3 televisions in my home, and that's even recently. The kids they have televisions in their home, in their room. Yeah. And then there's one in the living room. And again, that's something that's new. I believe that to keep family together, right? We should be in the same space, right? So
100%.
how about we gather in the living room and
let's play a card game.
Right. We all just let that be the space that we congregate in.
Right. I like that, because especially nowadays in 2024, we don't do enough face-to-face interactions with people. It's all over the phone. People text, people call, but like it's not face-to-face.
But even the bigger the space, the further away families tend to be. Just because everyone is off doing their own thing.
For sure.
Now, I do agree that sometimes the smaller spaces can become overwhelming and smothering, but
that's why tiny homes aren't for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
And I think that goes with any kind of house, right?
That's right.
For someone who's elderly and doesn't want to do stairs, a colonial wouldn't make sense.
Right.
A ranch would.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just figuring out what kind of person would fit for each kind of house, what that person's needs are, their motivations, their goals, matching with the right property. And I feel like that's what I like to say. In real estate, we're matchmakers.
We're matchmakers.
Listen, we're not finding you a person, we're finding you a house. And listen, the house will not talk back to you.
It'll talk to you because you'll know.
It'll speak to you.
Yeah.
But it won't be disrespectful.
Yeah. You'll know that when you walk in, hey, this is my house.
The walls will say something.
The color of the walls. Hey, and it's funny that you said the walls will say something. I have a quick story that I want to share.
Yes.
And so the quick story that I wanted to share, right, about the walls talking, years ago, many years ago, I think I can remember being a teenager, and my bonus sister, she lived with us, right? And one day I don't know what we were doing, but we went to go find her aunt. Okay, and it was her paternal aunt. She had not seen in years, and we just happened to be in this neighborhood, and she's like, I remember my aunt's house from a long time ago, and her walls was purple.
Okay.
And so we're riding up and down streets looking for houses with purple walls. Now, you see the look that you just gave?
Yeah.
Right. How do you do that, right?
Right.
You were puzzled, confused?
I am very confused.
Okay. We was hoping that someone had their shades drawn, their blinds open, or whatever the case may be. And here's the thing. We actually found the home.
Did you really?
We did. Yes, we did.
You're just looking at people's windows.
Yes. The weirdest thing ever. Like, she's like, the walls are purple. And we're like, okay, tell us something more about the outside of the wall.
Right.
I mean, the outside of the home. And she couldn't remember anything aside from the purple walls.
And I'm surprised the walls were still purple, too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And at that point, I think her aunt had maybe been in the home for like 20 years or plus. She still had those purple walls.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like what kind of purple? Like an eggplant kind of color?
No, it was more of a lavender.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's pretty. I like that color a lot.
And so I want to make sure that they see this episode.
Send it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's just a testament as to, how a home can speak to someone.
Right.
Even if it's not the owner. It's just,
that's the funniest thing about it too, right? I mean, even if you don't own the house.
That's right.
A house can still have some emotional connection.
Yeah. And I'll say this, right? And we don't have to, go too much into detail, but in real estate, typically people are looking for two things, right? And that's the location and the uniqueness.
Correct.
In a property, and tiny homes, they serve that purpose.
For sure. I mean, like we've been talking about this whole episode, there's so many different benefits for the right person for a tiny home. And I feel like people think when they hear tiny, like they have like this negative thought in their head, like, oh, how's my stuff gonna fit? I promise you, you can make it work. You just need to declutter a lot, for sure. And I think it also paints a really good picture of how much we really do just bring into our lives, but we don't get rid of. Right. Like, we need to think about like that aspect of things. Like we buy a lot of things in life. That we realize don't even hold any value to us anymore. I mean, if I went through my bedroom, I'd probably find at least 3 full garbage bags full of stuff I can just get rid of.
Wow. I'm just thinking about really on clothes. Like, where do they go? I already feel like I live efficiently because over the years, I got rid of so much.
Yeah.
So many things. And part of the reason is we have a lot of clothes in the house. Like, everybody has clothes, shoes, and I mean, what else do you need besides love in the house?
As long as you have love.
And peace.
Maybe some running water would be nice.
Oh, well, yeah.
Electricity, if you could. Beggars can't be choosers, but...
Well, the thing about it is, we know how to make electricity. They showed us in science class.
Yeah.
You know, take some batteries and some lights and...
DIY it.
DIY it. Some candles.
Yes.
So...
We can make it work.
We can make it work.
Listen, we can get creative.
Get some rain, water.
Yes.
We'll figure it out.
We'll get creative.
But yeah,
I'm not worried about
it.
So if you're looking for some creative solutions, reach out.
And that's the thing. I think that tiny homes do just tap into that creativity and that artsy
100%
mindset.
For sure. I mean, I already have like 3 people off the top of my head that I feel like it could work for.
Well, let's get them into a tiny home.
For sure. So if you are looking to get into a tiny home, the first step is what, Shalonda?
The first step is to call a great realtor. You have 2.
Bam!
Here in front of you.
Shalonda, how do they get in contact with you as a great realtor?
Well, see, I'm sharing my personal information so that you can directly connect to me. My phone is always with me, and so that number is 586-339-8321, and I'm looking to hearing from you. Or you can visit the website if you are one who prefers that direction at Shalonda, SHALAUNDA at kw.com, or I'm sorry, .kw.com.
Bam.
And Dylan,
yes.
How do you get someone into the tiny home? How do they reach you?
So they will reach me at my personal cell phone. So you can either call or text, based off which one you prefer, to 248-891-9860. Or you can reach out on my website. You can check that out by going to www.dylanmostyn.com, spelled DYLANMOSTYN.com, and I look forward to having a conversation with you guys.
Well, you guys, we'll wrap it up, and we want you to think about how would you design your tiny home. Send us something.
Send us some inspirations.
Yeah.
I mean, every tiny home looks so different, so send us like the designs you like. I mean, if you see one on the road, snap a picture and send it over. I
would love that. And then guess what? If we can't find it, we'll figure out how to build it for you.
Bam.
That's it.
I think, sorry, not wrapping up this episode yet. I think that's the thing also about in our industry that I wanted to explain to our audience is that if we can't find what you're looking for, we'll create it.
Yes. Yeah, it's your vision, it's your home.
Right. So, I mean, even if it's not on the market, we'll look off market.
That's it.
Just to let you know, just to throw that out there. So don't feel very discouraged if you're even like checking out like Zillow or Realtor.com and you're like, there's nothing out there. It's out there. Yeah. Like I said, back to the whole creative solution.
If you can see it, we can create it.
Bam. And on that note, we're going to wrap up the 21st episode.
You guys, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much.
Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Bam.
Bye.